Bergkamp.
Hello and welcome to the newest episode on Sport is for the People. Today we're going to be talking all things Premier League again. And joining me today I have Jamie Brooks.
Hello.
Hello, supporter of Manchester United. I have Jack Mason, who supports Arsenal.
All
right. And Ryan Asher with me once again, who supports Liverpool.
What's happening, guys?
Not too much during lockdown. So today we're going to be discussing our all-time Premier League 11 team. So to start off, we're going to go through goalkeepers, and I'm going to come to Jamie Brooks first.
It's not even a debate, is it really? The best one, hands down, Peter Schmeichel. There's no debate about it whatsoever.
Well, that's thanks for that, Jamie. Your input is very valuable there, mate. Jack?
I'd love to say David Seaman, but unfortunately I'm probably going to have to stick with Peter Schmeichel as well. I mean, they're both very, very good goalkeepers, but probably for consistency. If we ignore when he played for Aston Villa, probably Peter Schmeichel is the best Premier League goalkeeper.
And Asher, I'll come to you, but I think this one's pretty much sewn up in it.
No, it's got to be Jersey Duda, can it?
It's got to be Jersey Duda.
Do you know what? I as much as I'm a massive avid United hater, he's class in it. The other keeper that I'd chuck in the mix was Petr Cech, because he holds the most clean sheets in the Premier League. He has played more games, but for Schmeichel, for his dominance and his absolute presence on the pitch, you can't really dispute much other than Peter Schmeichel.
No, Petr Cech would have been my other option. I wrote that down because he's got over 200 clean sheets. Obviously, part of that famous Chelsea team that kept the most clean sheets in the season and the lowest amount of goals conceded. But yeah, Peter Schmeichel takes the goalkeeper spot. Moving on to right back. Jamie, back to you. I know you're going to love this one.
Well, I don't know, there's been a lot of good right backs down the years, and you have had a lot of good ones. You could say players like Trent, etc., like that could be in there in years to come. But at the minute, I'm gonna have to stick with my guns and go with Gary Neville, just because he was solid over a number of years. Don't get me wrong. I think if you was to play him in this league now, day and age, I don't think he would do as well. But if you look at just him as a player, he was brilliant.
So Gary Neville for you, Jack.
This was actually the only position I had to go and actually research who played right back. I have to disagree with Jamie. There's been some absolute trash over the years. If you look at even if you look at modern day, Arsenal's invincible. We had Lauren at right back, and he's not the best right back I've ever watched. Probably once again it would be between Gary Neville or Lee Dixon. I wouldn't have Trent in that, unfortunately. He's a very good right back, but he's only played, 2 full seasons of the Premier League. You really can't put him in all time. Fortunately, I'm probably going to have to go with Gary Neville, which annoys the shit out of me. but yeah, probably we'll go with Gary Neville on this one.
I'm going to say Asher's going to disagree, so I'll come to you, Asher.
I'm turning this off now. We're not having that right back. I'm not having it. 100%. No. In fairness, all joking aside, do you know what I mean? It is between Neville and Dixon. There is absolute pump at right back historically in the Prem. But Trent, do you know what I mean? Trent's going to have his day, and Gary Neville will be long forgotten when Trent finishes his career. He'll be the best Premier League right back of all time. But Neville's stats speak for themselves. He had a lot of cover, didn't he? And he got made look better than he was because of the players around him. So it'll have to be Neville.
Well, right back for me, I think you're massively underappreciating Branislav Ivanovic. I thought he was brilliant for Chelsea for quite a few years.
He was centre back at the time.
He played more centre back though.
He was centre back at the time. He only played right back towards the end of his career. So that's like saying Azpilicueta.
Azpilicueta's been quality.
But he's also been a centre back for a lot of his.
He played a lot of left back as well. When Chelsea had no one in cover, they usually played Azpilicueta at left back and then eventually moved Branislav to right back. So.
What about Pablo Zabaleta? He's won a few league titles with Man City. Quality for about 7 seasons.
But then at the same time, when we get to left back, are you going to chuck Alexander Kolarov as the best Premier League left back of all time?
No, because there's a definite winner in that, isn't there? I think so. But as there's such a lack of right backs, I think it was nice to mention them. But yeah, Gary Neville goes in the team. Now, 2 centre backs, we can either go for individually or as a pairing, but we'll go for individually. So, Jamie?
This is quite a tough one for me, but in the end of the day, I picked Rio and John Terry. Vidic obviously was a name that popped up. Yap Stam. There was a lot of ones down the years. Carvalho and Terry had a very, very good. They were very good together for a number of years. Same with Vidic and Rio, but end of the day, I picked individually. You'd go for Rio Ferdinand, and then you'd go for John Terry. I think they've been throughout the year most honours, both fantastic players. Just a shame. The worst bit is they couldn't win anything for England. That was really the worst thing. But other than that, those two solid throughout.
Yeah, I don't think most people will complain about that, but we'll find out. Jack?
If we're going to go both at the same time, I thought about Rio and Terry, and I decided against it. So I'm going to go for Vidic and Adams. I think Vidic is a man mountain and an animal. And realistically, you can't argue with the passion he had for the game. He was just something else in that defence. And Adams is one of those ones where he was ahead of his time. He was a very naturally gifted, very athletic centre-back. Once again, just an absolute rock. You look at players like Rio's good and John Terry's good, but I think at the time, in their times, those two shone above other defenders. So I'm going to go with those two.
Not bad. Ashel?
Yeah, so Terry and Ferdinand are your obvious ones, aren't they? Because you look at all the stats and you look at what they've done. I'd say John Terry has got to be cemented in there. He's probably one of the best centre backs that we've ever seen, and I've got a lot of time for Rio when he went on the cannabis. But to put Vidic in the mix is an absolute joke. Torres ended his career numerous times, so. Vidic needs to go in the bin, give his head a wobble. Company, I'd have stuck in the mix, but I think he had too many injuries towards the end. And if we're going to base it on stats, his stats are nowhere near the rest, but then he was just such a power player, wasn't he? And then, Tony Adams, you look at his stats, he pretty much achieved what Terry and Ferdinand achieved in half the amount of games. Not as many clean sheets, but all his other stats with his goals and assists are just as good as theirs. He played in a weaker team, I thought, when Arsenal were there earlier on.
And he was an alcoholic, so you got that.
Yeah.
And he loved the booze, didn't he? So I'd definitely stick John Terry, and then I can't really decide between Ferdinand and Tony Adams. So I'll let you make that decision, but I'd definitely stick John Terry in that mix.
Thanks. For my decision, I will give John Terry 5 Premier League titles, lots of appearances, and I think from, say, 2004 to 2014, he's probably top 3 centre-backs in the world for a 10-year period, so can't really argue with John Terry, to be fair.
Consistent.
As much as we don't like him, he was a quality centre-back, and
don't leave your missus alone.
Don't leave my missus with him. But I'm going to go Tony Adams, not only because I'm an Arsenal fan, but because I think he had a long career. He's the only person to win the league title in 3 different decades as a captain. He's a leader. He's a legend at the club. And I think he's probably left more of a mark than, say, Vidic or Ferdinand will probably leave on United or City. Or United, sorry. Left back, I think this is another one like goalkeeper. I think there's only one real option here, and I think we're all pretty much going to say the same one. So, Jamie?
I love this game!
Okay. You've gone for the one that I didn't think about.
Patrice Evra was up there, but yeah, there you say. Ashley Cole, he's done it. Still done it with with Chelsea and Arsenal. It's consistent down the years. I think who is his toughest? Ronaldo. He always pocketed Cristiano Ronaldo comes against him. He was just a fantastic player to watch. Yeah, there's not going to be any arguments.
Jack, I'm assuming you're probably going to say the same.
Yeah, I think the only decision I had was to choose between Arsenal, Ashley Cole, or Chelsea, Ashley Cole. But yeah, no, it's Ashley Cole. I hate him, but it's Ashley Cole.
And I think this one, like I said, pretty sewn up left back spot, isn't it?
Yeah, Ashley Cole for me. Again, as much as I don't like United, Patrice Evra's stats were impressive, and they were probably a little bit better for games played than Ashley Cole. But do you know what I mean? He was just ahead of it. He was just ahead of his time. He made that left back role into what the left back, right back roles are now, the way they attack. So yeah, Ashley Cole for me.
Yeah, Ashley Cole, 100%. He was phenomenal, and England career obviously didn't win anything but over 100 caps. Consistent player. You got to think of the players that he played with in the back four of Arsenal during the Invincibles, not the Invincibles, sorry, but the earlier squads, and also then with the Chelsea team winning all those trophies. So yeah, Ashley Cole goes in. Now we're going for a midfield 3. So we can have 2 defensive, 1 attacking, or however you want to do it. You just put it out there for your midfield 3. Jamie?
Well, go with Scholesy. Paul Scholes in there, alongside Frank Lampard, and then we'll have Roy Keane holding. That'll be my 3.
Oh, we've got Ashill's not having this. So wait there. Who's the deepest player?
I'll have obviously Roy Keane. Roy Keane will be sitting.
Mm-hmm.
Roy Keane will be sitting and break up the play. You have Scholes and
He'd be sitting in the fucking car park is where he'd be sitting.
He get on that pitch.
I'm just going on stats. I mean, obviously, you look at Gerrard's CV. Don't get me wrong; he's done it in Europe, a place like that. But all he's got on his Premier League CV is the slip. But I mean, let's move away from that. Gerrard was a good player, but if you compare him to the other 2, if you're going through honours and that, he was a superb player, but just didn't have the cutting edge to drive his team forward to get a Premier League title, unfortunately.
What about Lampard, Vieira? You're missing them 2 out.
Put Lampard in.
Oh, sorry, Lampard's in. Yeah, so you're missing out Vieira. You're missing out Makelele, Kante.
Vieira, Kante. I had 6 written down. Vieira, Kante, and Roy Keane. Obviously, going to stick with my guns and go with Roy, Big Roy, obviously.
So you picked the worst out of the 3.
I don't know. Probably the best leader out of the 3.
Debatable, but that's what we're here for. Jack?
Roy can get in a bin in all fairness. Vieira instantly swaps out with Roy Keane. Vieira was a different player. Vieira could pick the ball up in his own box and charge the entire length of the pitch, and no one would touch him. Roy was just a statue, but whatever. I'd have Lampard, because in my 4-3-3, I'm going to have an attacking midfielder. I'd have Lampard. I'm just deciding really whether or not I want to bin off Scholes or Gerrard. The problem I have with Scholes, I like Scholes as a player, but Scholes couldn't tackle to save his life. And his stats, like, for the length of time he played, he didn't score a lot of goals. He didn't assist a lot of goals. Like, he does have a very low ratio of assists and goals. And then you put that into the fact that he's like, 5'6". So he's not really an aerial threat. I'd probably go for Gerrard over Scholes, just because Gerrard was a player who could change a game. Whilst I think Scholes is a very good player, Scholes is a good player in a very, very good team that worked very well together. You looked at, when you took Scholes out of the team and played him for England, he did not a huge amount for England. And the fact that England usually played Gerrard and Lampard in the middle and pushed Scholes out to wing makes me kind of think that really as a midfielder, there were a few players. Like, I'm not going to say Scholes is a terrible player, but I think probably Gerrard and Vieira as a pair would offer more in that midfield than Scholes would.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. I like Frank Lampard will probably be in my team just because of the goals. He's in the top 10 goal scorers in the Premier League, I think, and considering he's a midfielder. And there's a stat that I like. If Frank Lampard stopped scoring in 2006, he would still have the same or higher than Xavi and Iniesta combined through their whole careers, which is insane. You think of the players Xavi and Iniesta were. Ashel, your midfield?
Well, have you got 10 minutes? Because I ain't having this. Right?
10 minutes.
Some liberties have been taken with this, right? Is Roy Keane, right? We won't even talk about that. That's a comedy. That's a comedy sketch right there, right? Goals. So I mean, I don't need. Jack's already said everything he needs to say about Scholes. So I mean, it's just. And then to answer what you said about Gerrard not having that captain's winning ability, did you not see what happened in 2005? Just if that's not a captain's performance, if you've ever seen one.
Or
All right,
West Ham, or the West Ham FA Cup final.
If that guy could pull the worst team out of the dirt and pull them through, all right, he slipped and once, but if you look over the season, do you know what I mean? You can only pull your team through so much with the effort the lads put in around you, and I think to say that he hasn't got a captain's winning mentality, I think that's a disgrace. That's a disgrace. A bit like Roy Keane's tackling, but yeah, no, Lampard's in there for sure. Do you know what I mean? His assists and goals are in the top 10, I think. So,
yeah,
I mean, he was doing bits, wasn't he? And the way we've set this formation out 4-3-3, I'm a bit gutted because as much one of my all-time favourite players and the player that I used to love watching the most when I got into football, other than like Ian Rush and players like that, was Ryan Giggs. I mean, the way we've set this out, we can't stick Giggs in there. And Giggs is probably, for where he played with his goals and assists, he's got to be in a best 11 team somewhere. But the way we've set this formation out, I don't know where I'd stick him in. And then we're now talking about where we're just like on pure ability, then you're going to miss out Beckham, Ronaldo. So the way we set the 4-3-3 out sort of limited what we do with our midfield, I think. But I'd go Lampard and Gerrard nailed on. And Vieira's stats, other than like his individual stats, weren't as good for goals and assists. He's a captain. He would captain that team for me because he's just a monster. He was just in the tunnel. You've seen how many times he got on players' head. I mean, he lived rent free in Roy Keane's head. So that said, I mean, that was. So yeah, I'll probably go Lampard, Gerrard, Vieira for me. The way we've set this out, to be honest.
Well, yeah, I agree. Roy Keane can get in the bin. Fuck off, Jamie. You're not going to get invited back on.
A bite.
You've thrown out some chum there and you got a few nibbles, didn't you?
Dude, mate, like Roy Keane, fantastic player. I mean, for me, one of the best holding players of all time. I mean, look at him as everything he's won. He's won a lot. He's won it all as captain.
Have you been smoking anything to this tonight?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit, yeah. For my midfield, 100% Vieira gets in. 100% Lampard. And although Gerrard did not win the Premier League, and there's a few other midfielders that would be in contention, Gerrard takes it just for being... Can you imagine those three? They're all captains in their own right, but driving that midfield three would be absolutely phenomenal. So moving on to the front three positions. We'll start with on the left of the front three. Jamie?
Are we going here? Are we going right, left, wing, striker, or are we just going three strikers? What are we doing here?
Up to, it's your squad. If you want to put three out-and-out strikers up top, crack on.
Yeah, just do all three at the same time.
Yeah, go on. Front threes. Go on then.
I just went down the striker route. So I put Sergio Aguero. I mean, you can't question him. He just does it year in, year out. And he's done it for, 7 years in a row now? He's just scored consistently over 20 goals. As much as it pains me to say it, as I hate Manchester City, you can't deny the bloke just oozes class. He's just brilliant. Knows something that is. And he will always punish you, especially if you're not. He always scores against us. He does at the end, but he's superb player. Next to him, Thierry, big Thierry Henry. Same again. Just a superb player, probably one of the best that the Premier League's ever seen. And I got stuck on the last one. So obviously I had Drogba in there. I had Rooney.
No, not Drogba.
No. I had a lot of names popping up. I mean, I had Suarez. But then, can you put Suarez in there? He was only there for 4 years. Don't get me wrong, he was a fantastic player. So was Cristiano Ronaldo. He was there for 4 or 5 years, but I don't think they were long enough to be going down as Premier League legends. Don't get me wrong, since they've left the Premier League, they've obviously eclipsed and become world star across the world. Brilliant players. But I suppose you'll have to go Shearer, really, if you're going to go. He's obviously the all-time goal scorer. So, yeah, Shearer, Henry, and Aguero.
Interesting. Jack?
I went for 2 wingers and a striker. Right wing's going to be Cristiano. Last Premier League player to win Ballon d'Or. At the end of the day, he was a pain in the ass, but he was a very, very good player. And, you know, I think that season in 2008 when they won the Champions League and the Premiership and all of that crap, he was a very, very good player. So I can't really deny that. Left wing, I'd probably play Henry. That's the position he played when he came over. Obviously, he reverted to a striker, but the man still managed to bang in 30 goals a season at left wing. And up front, see, I like Aguero, but I think purely for the simple fact that the man never played for a big team and still scored a stupid amount of goals. You've got to go with Alan Shearer. He won the Premier League with Blackburn, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
So I think probably just all-time Premier League scorer. So there you go with Shearer.
Nice team there. Ryan?
If we were going to do the midfield route, I'd have stuck Giggs and Ronaldo in there 100%. But I am going to go the free striker route. Shearer's got to be in there right in the middle because he's prolific, isn't he? But I'm so shocked that nobody stuck Wayne Rooney in that list. I think Rooney is one of the best players that has ever graced the Premier League. Like his goals, his assists, like he scored 208 goals and 103 assists. I mean, that's insane, and he's still going now. And so I've gone Shearer, Rooney, and then I couldn't figure out who was going to stick between Aguero and Henry because I love watching Thierry Henry play, but Aguero's just a beast. Like his agility on the ball and his finishing. And if he managed to stayed fit longer, he'd break that Premier League record. I don't think he will, but yeah, it pains me to say because I didn't want to leave Henry out, but you can't deny Shearer. Rooney stats, although he's played more games than Henry, Rooney's just if he's not in the mix for a best all-time 11 in any conversation, it's just bizarre because of just his stats and. He set the world on fire at 16, didn't he? Do you know what I mean? He was chipping people at 16 in the Premier League. It's just...
I don't remember his first goal.
No, I don't remember that. Block that one out.
Yeah.
So yeah, Shearer, Rooney and Aguero.
Well, it's tough for me because my personal one was Ronaldo on the right, Shearer in the middle and Henry on the left. So I was with Jack. But I love Aguero. I'd be tempted to leave out Shearer for Aguero personally because I know Shearer top goal scorer and everything, but I love Aguero. So I'm going to end up putting in Henry on the left. Oh, now it's Rooney, Ronaldo, or Aguero, really. It's tough. I think Rooney will swing it. I think, Ashel, you swung me on Rooney. And then Shearer's going to go up top. So we'll have Henry, Rooney and Shearer as a top three. I think that's not a bad squad, guys. What I was going to ask is, I've got a few other questions to ask you, a few debates. Would you rather have a prime Gareth Bale or a prime Luis Suarez in your team? Jamie?
I think talking prime, is this going to mean that he's not going to get injured? Because if you're going to get Gareth Bale, he's just going to be injured all the time. I'll go for Suarez for goals.
Suarez for goals?
I'll go for Suarez, and obviously got a better track record of keeping fit than Gareth Bale. He gets injured too much.
Yeah, Jack?
Suarez.
Don't
really need to explain why.
No, not really.
Fucked, mate, in all fairness.
You got to admit, though, that season where he absolutely tore it up in the Premier League was incredible, that Bale season. But then Suarez had his season with Liverpool as well, so that's the whole point.
Yeah, but every time someone says he was a great left wing, he was a fucking shite left back, so who cares about
that? Yeah. Suarez, I mean, that season he had, and he gave everyone a 8-game head start because he was a dirty bastard. I mean, he just proved it. I mean, if he didn't been there for them 8 games, we'd have won the league. And it's all them ifs, buts and maybes and all them little things that's the one thing that pisses me off about him is that we would have won the league if he'd have been there for them games because we relied on him so much.
Maybe this year, eh?
Well, something's going to stop us, isn't it? If COVID doesn't end, the world will get Ebola or the new Ebola strain or something to stop us winning it. But yeah, Suarez for me. I just think when he behaved, he was just he's in the top Ballon d'Or places to names, isn't he? He's up in that conversation. So
This one's for Jamie and Ashel to have a little ding dong about. Prime Nemanja Vidic or prime Virgil Van Dyke? Jamie?
oh,
How can you can't even compare the two. And obviously, you made a comment earlier about Vidic. If you looked at Vidic's stats against Liverpool, he kept 8 clean sheets. And although you say that Suarez ripped him apart and ruined him, if you look at the actual stats against Liverpool, when he played in this game, he had like 8 or 9 clean sheets. So he didn't really, it was just a few bad games against him. I'd go for Vidic. It's not even, don't be wrong, I think Van Dijk can eclipse him and he could go further, but he's only had 1.5, 2 good seasons at Liverpool now. But Vidic did it for 5, 6 at United, so it's not even really a competition. He's not won a Premier League yet. Don't be wrong, Van Dijk probably will go on and he probably will eclipse him, but at this moment in time, Vidic.
Right, Ashel, take a breath and we'll go to Jack first so you can have a breather.
It's going to be Vidic. Like, the thing is, no, don't get me wrong. Like, so, I have a strong affinity with my family with Celtic, so I like Virgil van Dijk as a player. I think Virgil van Dijk's a very good player, but the conversation that he's like the best centre-back that's ever graced the Premier League is god honestly ridiculous. He is a good player, but I mean, like you say, like Torres ruined Vidic's career. I mean, Ismail Assar ruined Virgil van Dijk's career earlier at Vicarage Road. So he's not an impervious player. He is a very, very good centre back. Don't get me wrong. He's arguably the best centre back in the world this season. But I mean, if you're looking at longevity, you know, he needs to play another 4 or 5 seasons. He needs to win another 4 or 5 leagues. You know, I mean, Vidic was earning best player of the, you know, PFA player of the year at centre back. You know, I think he won it, 2 or 3 times during his time. He was, you know, a heavily rated centre back, so he's going to be Vidic.
Right then, go on, Ashel. Off you go.
Okay, you two can jog on. The way I see it, and I don't think Virgil van Dijk's the best player centre back to ever grace the Premier League. I think, yeah, that's too early. But you two have not answered the question because we're not talking about 2.5 years into the Virgil's career against Vidic's 5 years. We're talking about them both in their prime. I think Vidic was class. I did think that. I love that he's probably still spinning from when Torres turned him inside out of Old Trafford. And didn't he get him sent off twice or 3 times because he couldn't deal with him or something?
Twice, I think.
Twice, yeah.
So I think I'll base this purely on that. I genuinely believe that Van Dijk will win a Ballon d'Or and Vidic never. And I'll further go on to say that the way football's played now, and you can only play the team in front of you, is that Vidic was a very big, strong centre-back when he had to deal with big, strong forwards. He'd have Drogba in his pocket all day, couldn't deal with the pace, couldn't deal with fast players in and around him. If he played in the Premier League now, he wouldn't be at United. He wouldn't be at United because he wouldn't be good enough, because he'd get turned inside out by any fast player in the league. It's been seen over and over again. Virgil van Dijk is playing against the best forwards now, the way the game's played. It's more of an attacking game now than it's ever been. And I think he's better equipped now to deal with how the game's played. So I'd say Virgil van Dijk. And yes, I am biased, 100% biased, I'll admit that. But I think he's a better player, hands down. And he will win a Ballon d'Or, which Vidic never. So when we compare them again against 5 years and 5 years, Vidic will probably be the name on everyone's lips over Vidic.
Not bad, not bad. Has anybody else got any ones they'd like to throw out there since we're discussing Prime v Prime?
The only reason why I was annoyed about the 4-3-3, and the reason why it annoyed me, because I couldn't put a certain player, Dennis Bergkamp. I couldn't fit Dennis Bergkamp in that squad. I would like to see someone chuck out a better number 10 than Dennis Bergkamp. I think he was a magical player. It was one of those, but unfortunately, he was, a centre forward, so it doesn't really fit into that squad.
Depends
No.
where you play De Bruyne, because would De Bruyne be that same position? Because you could say again, prime De Bruyne or prime Bergkamp, because that would be a tough one if you're going to look at it in the same sense.
That would be a tough one.
I think if De Bruyne if he spends a few more years in the Premier League with City, I very much think he's going to be up there in that conversation. I mean, his stats are like, what is it, 62 assists in 146 games, so it's nearly an assist every other game, just over every other game. He makes them tick, doesn't he? Do you know what I mean? What Chelsea were thinking, letting him go for 6 million or however much it was. Do you know what I mean? What a ridiculous thing they did there. And he's probably one of the best centre midfields in the world right now. So, yeah, but Bergkamp, man, I loved watching that man play. I used to watch him and I used to want to mirror how I brought the ball in like Bergkamp. His touch. Would you ever see a better touch than Bergkamp's?
The only one that I think's come close is Dimitar Berbatov. I think his touch was amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think when you look at Bergkamp, someone once did this little like fun quiz where you have two players from, the same club in the same position. So, for example, who would you rather have, Stephen Lehman? I remember someone once went to me, who would you rather have, Bergkamp or Henry? And I was like, Bergkamp. I think what that man managed to do, he could have made every player around him look quality.
I think
it's a similar thing to what Firmino's kind of doing at Liverpool. Not obviously at the same level, but where Firmino somehow manages to, go from where he should be a striker to just being a playmaker and making Liverpool's midfield look a lot better than what it is, and making the two wingers suddenly turn into 30-goal season players. So, I mean, once again, Firmino is one of those players that maybe if he carries on the way he's doing, might end up in a list somewhere.
I think the difference being between them two players, though, is, do you know what I mean? Obviously, I think Firmino's one of the key players for our team, hands down. The difference being, I thought, skillfully, Firmino has it in the bag, but like again, when it comes to shooting, touch, the lot, Bergkamp he was just ridiculous. Some of the like, what was that goal he scored against Holland where he like sort of took it over his shoulder?
Mm-hmm.
He just stopped it on his toe and then like put it in the top corner. It was, and then the one where he flicked it one way around the defender and spun round the other.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
It was the fact that he scored like one of the best goals ever against Newcastle and then did the exact same against Argentina for Holland. It was a person where you see something that would only happen once in life and he'd do it twice.
Yeah, and I think he's the only person to win the goal of the month and come first, second and third all in the same month. So that's pretty insane, isn't it? Thanks for coming, guys. It's been nice chatting to you. Thanks for coming on. My thanks to Jamie, Jack and Ryan. And I'm sure I'll see you all again soon. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like and subscribe. Thank you very much.